Hi guys, I want to talk about some travel industry jargons in today's video. So I welcome you to my channel, Travel Insights with Nilima. Let's discuss those jargons now. There are some basic jargons which everyone knows. First is the origin, right? So the city from where you're taking the flight is known as an origin. And then the destination. Pretty simple. So the point where you are going or where you are landing is known as a destination. Transit or connection, that we talk about it quite a lot, right? Whenever you are traveling, mainly international, there's a connecting flight that you take and your airline lands in a particular city, and from there you go to the destination, right? So that point in between is known as a transit or a connecting point. Then we have something which I guess outside of travel industry maybe many people are not aware of. There's something called a stopover. Now what is a stopover? Stopover is a deliberate halt that I as a passenger would want to take while traveling from point A to point B. So let's say, for example, I want to travel from Delhi and I want to go to Sydney, and I'm flying in Singapore Airlines. So Singapore Airlines will transit via Singapore, right? But now I as a passenger, I want to take a stopover in Singapore for a couple of days. So which means I want to move out of Singapore airport, stay in Singapore for a couple of days, come back and take my next flight to the destination, which is Sydney. So sometimes, most of the airlines, they allow. First things you have to take care of is that, let's say you are traveling from Delhi to Sydney and you are traveling via Singapore Airlines and you plan to take a stopover in Singapore. Your visa has to be intact. You have to have a tourist visa to move out of the airport, which is not the case when you are just simply transiting. So when you are transiting, you don't move out of the airport, right? You remain inside the airport, just change the flight. But in case of stopover, you can move out of the airport. Maybe some airlines might allow a stopover for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days. It depends on the fare rules again. And stopover comes with a charge. So if your fare round trip from Delhi, Sydney and back is of a certain amount, if you take a stopover, the fare might be a little higher. But if you are not aware of this, it is absolutely possible. You can take a stopover. Airlines do allow it. You have to check with the travel agent who is booking your flight. There's something called code share. I have already created a video on code share, right? It just means, again reiterating, two airlines come into an agreement wherein one is the operating carrier and the other is the marketing carrier. Now let's also talk about different types of flights. Most of the people confuse between non-stop and direct. For every layman, we feel it is the same, right? Non-stop means direct. However, when we are talking about travel industry, and the non-stop and direct are two different types of flight. Non-stop flight does not halt in between. So you take off from point A and then it takes you off to point B without a halt in between. Whereas a direct flight is again taking you from point A to point B, but it takes a halt in between. Only difference is that the passengers are not allowed to disembark from the aircraft, so you are asked to be seated inside. That kind of flight is known as a direct flight. So you as a passenger, for you it might just be, the airlines might be selling it as a direct flight and you might be thinking that okay, it will take me off from point A to point B, but you might have to but the flight might take a halt in between, but as a passenger you are not allowed to disembark from the flight. And then the other one is a connecting flight. Now connecting flight means that you have to move out of the aircraft and take another flight. So that's a connecting flight. The flight number will be different in case of connecting flight. However, in case of direct flight, the flight number will remain the same. I hope you have been able to understand some of the jargons of travel industry. I will cover some more jargons in my another video. I will cover this as multiple series, this being the first one. If you've liked the video, do not forget to give me that thumbs up, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.